back to my channel, The Grim Reader, and to another Let's Talk About Everything update, a reading update. Well, I got a new haircut. That happened on Friday, and I'm still getting used to it. I'm fine with it. It's just when you have short hair, you kind of, as people know, the main thing is you see more of your face. And so, that's kind of, and I was really ready for a change. I was getting very sick of the basic bob and just kind of ready for something different. And so I'm noticing how with the short hair, it kind of demands that you, your posture is more important for some reason, like that you can't do this as much, which I tend to do just because of sitting around too much. And also, okay, not to be too vain or anything, so the picture I posted, and I got such nice comments on it, that was before I had washed it on my own. So she does it her way, and it took me a while to get used to the way she done it. She had her reasons for doing it, and it looked fine. And so that was the picture you saw, was when it was still styled from the, and then, so then I come in and I wash it, but I don't really, now I put a little bit of hairspray in, but even I might need to go and buy some kind of product to make it a little bit more higher up here. So right now it's kind of got nothing in it except a little bit of hairspray, and I keep, my basic style thing is that I'm pushing it this way because I think that looks the best. The parts kind of all over the place, but and also it was a little stressful, but it was kind of good. So I don't wear any makeup, and so, but I was sort of saying how, well, with the short hair, no definition. So they kind of tacked on a quick makeup lesson, so to speak, at the end, which was interesting because I think the young woman who was doing it was actually really, really talented. But when you're not used to makeup and having someone do it to your face I was tired anyway, it was a little like awkward. Plus they had these little girls shadowing, so they're like looking at this lady getting her makeup done. And she did very minimal makeup, and she did a good job that I will never be able to replicate. So she put a very minimal, like it was mascara, which I've tried to put on now too. Please, if any of my viewers have tips on non-smudging mascara for old ladies, because the problem with any kind of beauty, any kind of area where you know nothing about it, it's extremely complicated, and there's so many different kinds, and there's something called tubing mascara. Did I know that existed? So anyway, I need help, and I'm also kind of only willing to go so far, of course, with all of this, but I am willing to do some things. And she did actually a really nice job. She had this basically called lip tint, and she just put it on, I think, with a brush, and it looked really good. Like she was able to sort of, so I'm like wondering how she did that. And she wasn't there the next day. I went in the next day to get my nails done, and so what I've scheduled is, the one thing I am sort of thinking that I'll do, because she did a good job, my brows, which don't really exist at all. That's the problem, they're kind of gray. And so she went in there with a brush and she painted them on sort of meticulously. And like, am I ever going to do that? I'm going to do what the lady in Germany once did. I'm going to go in next Saturday and get my eyebrows tinted, because I think that will help. And in the beginning, it always looks too dark and weird, but I think it does help. And so I'll do that. If anyone can help me with mascara tips. And the other thing that I did do, it's even on now, and it's probably not, I don't have a sponge yet. They sold me this tinted moisturizer. It's a pretty good brand. Apparently it's a good brand. I don't know. I think it's Jane something. I don't know. So it's it has a little bit of coverage, and it just sort of hides the redness. I mean, for someone who never wears makeup. And so the problem even there, anyway, if you know, primer, foundation, blah, 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 but you can have, so it's just extremely complicated. And then, I mean, it's crazy what people do. From my perspective, as someone who does very little, all that I do is I wash my face with water, and then I moisturize it with a pretty good moisturizer, or Rock SPF. That's all I do. And so now I'm like inching into, okay, a little bit mascara, tinted eyebrows, tinted moisturizer with SPF. We'll do that. And maybe if I want to, I might try some kind of a little bit more color around the lips. That's it. And of course, I do like earrings. I like my earrings, and I like that you see them more. And we're gonna do this. We're gonna be a short-haired old lady as opposed to a bob lady for a while at least. I like it, and I think it will be easier to take care of, so we're good. Sorry about the beauty chat here at the beginning, but you know, if you have advice, let me know. The next issue is poor Lily. We found out that she has a lot of little bladder stones, and so apparently it's more complicated, but there's two different kinds of issues. The stones can be a more difficult kind that really are just resolved through surgical intervention, but there's another kind that sometimes dissolve if they're put on this urinary diet of there's dry food, you know, expensive dry food and expensive wet food that is supposed to help them with their issues of this certain type of bladder stone. And the thing is, during the pandemic, Shirley had this too, and she kind of got better with the diet, and she seems okay now. But poor Lily, you know, she seems okay, but she's struggling, and there is the issues with her, you know, going wherever. And just before the video, I took some baby wipes and had Bill hold her, and we cleaned her up in the back there a little bit. So kind of doing extra care, which you got to do with your kitties if they're not doing well. And she seems like she's hanging in there. We're going to take her in. If she doesn't get worse, we'll wait until we're supposed to wait like 2 months with the new food and take her in April, and we'll get checked out. And I guess if they're the kind that are not resolving, she may have to have an operation, which probably will be very expensive, but whatever. But that's the prognosis for Lily, and she's okay. She's hanging in there. And then Mr. T's going in this week to get his blood checked because there was one value that was higher. So just cat care stuff, but they're jolly. And I have a lot of work to do. I'm very busy, and I can tell what it does to my brain is. For example, yesterday, well, it was kind of, because I had to go back to the salon and get my nails done, and you always run into people that you don't want to run into, and then there's these awkward interactions with people, and that happened too, but it was fine. But anyway, so that day, Saturday's always hard, and they are my day off, but in a way it's because I'm so tired, and I'm usually have quite big pain, and my feet are still not great. My heels are sore, my Achilles tendonitis, and my back. My back is almost to the point where I think I might need to contact my doctor and maybe go see my other doctor who did this thing to my nerves, radicular ablation it's called, where they go in there with some needles and they burn nerve endings, and it is a pain intervention procedure. And it worked for a while, and I think it's kind of worn off. I think the nerves came back or something. Anyway, it's just my basic chronic pain. You know, it's there. It's there. So, anything else? Oh yeah, well, connected to all of those thoughts was the idea that what's frustrating sometimes is that you're in this kind of space where you just don't have the energy even to do your hobbies or your fun things. Like for me, it would be planning and stationery and reading. Although I do read anyway. And so I do get into these silly kind of scrolly states of mind, and to a certain extent I think it's okay because I'm just not doing that well. Actually, and one thing that happened yesterday that brings me transitioning over into my reading on the TikTok, and I found a young British man who has announced a Clarissa readathon. So Clarissa, the huge long novel by Richardson. Let me get my copy, one second. So I had this copy because I kind of wanted to jump in on a read along, but then I didn't. But I got this copy a while ago, and it's sort of so big. And I had a little accident here; a little bit of it came off, but it's really, really big, and the writing's very small. It's very long. It's 1,600 pages. But what's interesting about the man on TikTok, Henry, he told us that the reason to read it this year is it's an epistolary novel, and the letters start on January 10th, and then they go through December 18th. But for this year, the days match up. Even the days of the week match up with the year that this is supposed to be in. I guess maybe 1747, I guess. And he was saying something else on the TikTok that I have to go back and check. Something about how Richardson, not Fielding, was bookseller and proposed that he should compile a volume of model letters for unskilled letter writers. While preparing this, Richardson became fascinated by the project and a small sequence of letters from a daughter in service asking her father's advice when threatened by her master's advances formed the germ of Pamela. So he had these letters kind of become, it's a really strange genre, the writing or the development of the story through the letters. And I remember starting reading it once. It's absolutely fascinating because it is different from even the 19th century idiom. There's something really strange about the 18th century and the way their world was very, what's the term? There's a lot of references to things. They're just a very peculiar way of their everyday lives were. They were obsessed with sort of personal interactions in a sense. So it's a funny mixture of very, very refined manners and stuff, but then they're also very overly emotional, or there's a coarseness there. It's just a strange world of these people, and I'm fascinated by it. And so, of course, the thing that I decided to do was to listen to it. And I've got the first volume, 33 hours of the first volume is 33 hours, and there's 3 volumes. But it's fun, and it's bitten me because I've gotten enough into the plot to be, and anything that's soapy that kind of pulls me along too, if it's good soap. And this is soapy. This is her strange family who've all turned on her because basically the grandfather gave her his property and his estate because he liked her better, because you know what, she's better. And so all the family has now ganged up against her, and really, really is like the parents, her father and her mother and everyone want her to marry this person who, it's kind of funny how they just, the person she's supposed to marry, he's just so beneath her. He's not bright, he doesn't know anything about estates, he's ugly. And of course there's a third man here, Lovelace, who's going to come in and take, he's sort of a typical 18th century player, so to speak, but he's more interesting and probably more witty, but also more evil or creepy in a different way, because he's going to go after Clarissa. So poor Clarissa is the victim here. But anyway, I'm intrigued enough to do this, and I haven't seen the problem. So the first letters are January, and then there's one in February, but then there's gaps, and because I was in it already and I know it's so long, some of these letters later on must be really long letters. I skipped ahead, but I like it so far. So, and I contend, listen to these big long novels, listen to them, and then dip in here to read along with it is the way to do, for me, these big novels. I love Bleak House that way. Woman in White was good that way. Love on Stato was good that way. This is how you can get these big long novels read, and it's enjoyable. My husband's listening to Kristen Lavransdatter, and he's not as enamored with it as I was. I think because the Catholicism is grating to him, and maybe, I don't know why exactly. I have to figure out why he's doesn't find it as great as I do. He's listened to all the Stephen Erickson fantasy stuff. That's his, Game of Thrones. That's kind of what he likes to listen to. So maybe it's just not exactly his thing. And I'm still reading my other 2 books slowly. So the people who are reading Concrete on Voxes, some of them, they're already done, and I'm still, it has been bogged down a little bit through reading other things. The Zola's going well, but they're going slowly. And then, of course, Blood in the Mist was a bit of a disappointment. So my thoughts on Blood in the Mist are that it should have been a much shorter, tighter novel. It was a cute little fantasy with not very in-depth characters, a kind of cute little plot about fairies and fairy fruit. But then the sort of trying to make it a little bit more like a mystery or the dark, dark didn't work there at all for some reason. I just don't think she's just not of the caliber of someone like Tolkien, or I don't think her writing is that strong. And so, and the plot kind of meanders to the point where you just want it to end. It's just too long. It was really just too long. So I think I gave it 3, which for me is 3 stars on Goodreads for me is And so that was a bit disappointing. And I think that's it. I think we're pretty caught up. I have an idea for another video that I might do. because I've sort of become obsessed with vintage. This is so confusing because it says it's University of Illinois, but it looks exactly like the Virago Classics, Modern Classics with the green line. And let me show you one other one. Well, this is the Classics. They all look different. Some of them look different. So it's a little bit, you know, but it looks exactly the same. But it doesn't say Virago Modern Classics, so that's why I'm confused about it. Anyway, for some reason, even though I'm on a no-buy, so this all kind of happened before the no-buy. I decided I kind of want to collect the ones that look like this. And I know that if you go to the Virago site, the new ones are very different. But I really like these dark green ones with the line in a picture. I don't know. I think that's, and it's fun. There are a lot of them, and I've kind of started my collection. I've never read anything by Elizabeth Hardwick, but I'm intrigued. And of course, I have read the first one in here that was earlier in the year. And I have a couple of other ones that maybe I'll show you. And I just want to hear your thoughts on collecting books. You know, I have a bit of a Oxford collection here. And then I have my New York one over there. New York, those ones. And then I have a couple of Persephones. And I know some of you all like, you know, a lot of people do the penguins. You know, they're around. Book collecting is sort of a fun topic for us bookish people. Yeah, I think I've caught up. I thought it would take longer, but yeah, that's about it. I'm busy. We have cat stuff going on. I'm reading things, and life is good. I have short hair, and we're going for it. And oh yeah, the trip. I know it's December, so yeah, but we're still thinking about it. I've already booked us a nice. I went ahead and reserved us a nice junior suite in a hotel in Wiesbaden. And it's going to be a little pricey, but this is, you know, this is a nice trip. And my sister's going to send me some information about other places to stay in London. She's found some really good deals that include airfare. And then the other thing that we're contemplating now is the flight to Germany. And I actually found, so through United, which is my airline, a business class ticket round trip that was affordable, like, and that was yesterday. And then when I went back today, it wasn't there anymore. Then we were out of the affordability parameters. I mean, it was still expensive, but it was like, wow, that's business class. That's going to be a lot nicer than anything else. And so now, of course, I'm like, oh, gee, I really would like to go business class just because of my pain issues. And I like being pampered, but I'm also not that rich. So we'll see. You know, Bill contends that it might come back, that it depends on what day you look. So if anyone, I know it's a very bougie thing to be talking about, flying business class to Germany. It's just whatever, you know. But if anyone has any tips about how to find, but I don't really, I'm also kind of lazy about looking. I just want to do United just because that's how I book my tickets, and we'll see. Yeah, hope everyone's doing well. I've been dipping into other videos, haven't had a lot of time to comment on them, but I'm watching you all, watching some of you, and yeah, hope everyone's doing well, and I will be back soon with another Chatty update. Thanks for watching. Bye.